So explain to me how supporting ICE agents makes you more American than somebody who doesn't support ICE agents.
Yes, you're seeing more than the GDP of Somalia be stolen from one state. You're seeing ethnic enclaves and Muslim enclaves happen in the state of Michigan. Look at Dearborn. Dearborn is not America.
The more she talks, the more racist it becomes.
In this moment, the argument stopped being about immigration policy and became something much deeper. What you're about to watch is a debate where one side attempts to define who truly belongs in America, not based on law, but based on culture, identity, and origin. But pay close attention, because as the discussion continues, that definition is challenged in real time, exposing contradictions that fundamentally reshape the entire argument.
Okay, Riley Gaines, your response to that?
Yeah, well, I guess just to provide a little color to that, my husband is a legal immigrant. He came to the United States from England back in 2018. He did everything the right way. I would describe my husband, I guess fully Brit, although now has his green card in the process for citizenship. I would describe him as more American than a lot of Americans who are currently citizens. He loves this country. He understands the freedoms that we have. He sees the trajectory of England, quite frankly. He is so grateful to be here. To your point, I do think our legal immigration system certainly needs reform. I think that process needs to be sped up and made more efficient. But my husband, he respects ICE officers. And President Trump, the address that we heard last night, you have to acknowledge the things that he said are the things that he campaigned on. It's the things that we voted for. So in talking about mass deportations or closing down the border, 77 million Americans turned out to the polls in November of 2024. That's what we voted for. So to see an entire political party, in terms of elected representation and even how the mainstream media presents itself, who is totally unwilling to concede in any form or fashion to the point where they're not even able to say that their main priority is to protect Americans. I don't understand how that's not a disqualifying statement by, again, federally elected members of Congress. It seems to me as if that's an act of treason. If you can't even pledge allegiance to your own nation, that's a total act of betrayal, in my opinion.
This is where the argument quietly shifts from legal status to cultural qualification.
Yeah, Brian, do you think if you're in the country illegally, you've committed a crime?
In terms of being here illegally, there, as the mayor said, there are civil offenses versus criminal offenses, and I think that conflating the two is a major issue. I would respond to Riley's statement before. I don't understand what is with this conservative movement to qualify somebody's Americanness. Who are you to say that somebody is more or less American because of their adherence to certain political issues? Isn't that inherently un-American?
I guess my question for you is then just that: what is an American to you?
It's whatever you want to be. We have freedom to do, to believe in, to say, to practice whatever religion we want to. And so it's so bizarre to me for you to say, oh, my husband is more American because he salutes the flag and likes ICE officers. Who are you? Who is your husband to determine whether somebody is more or less American because of who they support?
If your definition to what is an American is anything you want to be, whoever says whatever they want to be can be an American, which is the exact same answer you guys give to the question, the very dreaded, controversial question of what is a woman, then are you saying that someone who currently resides in South Africa, who has never even been to America, who says they are an American, I guess by your definition, they qualify?
Now, the definition itself becomes the central point of conflict.
Such a bad faith reading of what I'm saying. My question for you
but that was
is,
your exact
you just
answer.
said your husband is more American than somebody else because he supports ICE agents. So explain to me how supporting ICE agents makes you more American than somebody who doesn't support ICE agents.
My husband has fully assimilated to Western culture. He loves the freedoms that we have here.
So it's assimilation. You have to assimilate, otherwise you're not American. According to Riley Gaines, if you didn't assimilate enough, you're not American.
I think in terms of what it means to principally, I'm not talking about legally, of course. I understand the argument of you need your paperwork, you need to be a citizen to be an American. Actually, you know what? This was one of the last conversations that I had with Charlie Kirk. It was that infamous influencer retreat in the Hamptons. Excuse me, did you just groan to that, Mayor? I don't
said,
understand
God
that.
help us. I said, God help us.
I entirely agree with you there. God, please help us.
Right.
One of my last conversations I had with Charlie Kirk was he posed this question to a room full of us in the Hamptons, asking, what is an American? And it left me kind of dumbfounded for a second because I didn't know, I'd never been asked this question. I didn't know how to answer this question. I never put thought into this question. But in thinking about it, yes, I believe my British husband is much more American than the members of Congress last night who couldn't even stand up to applaud no tax on tips, who couldn't stand to applaud a 100-year-old veteran who was being awarded a Medal of Freedom.
Notice how political agreement becomes tied to national identity.
Or to applaud Irina Zarutska after being brutally and horrifically and graphically
the good thing
murdered.
About being an American is that you get to choose what it is that you believe, your ideas. You could be a Democrat or
kind
a
of like
Republican.
you get to choose what it means to be a woman, right?
A symbol, the freedom of religion. You can choose these things. You don't have to stand on one side or the other to be an American. People who
I agree with that.
refuse, that's called democracy. And people who are against democracy, in my mind, are anti-American. And what you're saying and what has been going on is anti-democratic, and so it's anti-American in my estimation. You cannot tell people that you have to agree with me, you have to believe me, and you have to follow me.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
It's absurd.
You're not. My husband loves America because we have the freedom to choose. He loves that we have the freedom to our religion. We have the freedom to press. We have the free. No, it is exactly what I said. If you would listen, I said my husband loves the freedom.
Riley, look, let me just jump in. Riley, I would say that in relation to him assimilating to Western culture, just to remind viewers, Britain is part of Western culture, obviously. So the assimilation is not enormously difficult because he's British.
Entirely, agreed. But I agree.
We are a Western culture. I don't feel like. I don't feel when I go to America that I'm entering some vastly different cavernous new culture. Natalie, let me bring you in here. This whole debate about whether people who are in the country illegally are breaking the law, I mean, it is a crime.
This clarification quietly undermines the original assimilation argument.
I'm surprised to see a mayor of a major city trying to suggest that it's not a criminal offence to be in the country.
It's not a criminal offence. It's not my suggestion. It's actually the law. The law.
And might I just add, Mr. Mayor, that if your paramount value that you care about is promoting and supporting democracy in the United States, a lot of these illegal aliens that you're importing into this country, the Democratic Party did for the last, I don't know, decades, 10 million plus under Joe Biden, aren't exactly coming from countries that even have democracies, let alone some of them actually aren't even countries. They're failed states, enter places like Somalia. I think we all know what happened in Minnesota. Right. I've never heard a more verbose and rambling answer to what should be probably the most simple thing that you could answer, that your primary duty is to defend American citizens. I've also never heard Democrats uncritically bring up, I don't know, the Constitution. I thought you guys hated that document. Right. But here's the issue, and here's what I would say, Piers. Here's how I would reframe this entire discussion. This weaponization of what it means to be an American, of immigration policy, we can all sit here and give our culture war definitions of what it means to be an illegal alien, immigration, legal terms, whatever.
But then the discussion escalates beyond law into culture and identity.
The point is, reason why people are fed up with immigration and illegal immigration is because it's not actually about immigration. It is a scam that big businesses, all these donors that are funding all of those candidates and congressional members that you saw sitting at that State of the Union address, they just want cheap labor. That's all they care about. I'm sure that's all your donors care about. And that's why you're seeing a degradation of American identity so corporations can suppress the wages of Americans. You're saying, wow, you know what? Your party can't even stand up for Americans who are hit by trucks, by illegal alien drivers. You think you care about the affordability, the lived experience, the economic reality of Americans? You can't even stand for killed Americans.
You are repeating a false
statement.
No,
there's an illegal alien truck driver that hit a 5-year-old girl. An illegal alien hit a 5-year-old girl who was president of the State of the Union. I could sit here for hours and give you the name of Americans who've been killed by illegal aliens. But you know what? The point is, we don't just need to allow illegal aliens in this country because they're not criminals. They depress the wages. They destroy the culture of this country. There's too many people. If you import tens of millions of people from other cultures, you no longer have a United States of America. Yes, you're seeing more than the GDP of Somalia be stolen from one state. You're seeing ethnic enclaves and Muslim enclaves happen in the state of Michigan. Look at Dearborn. Dearborn is not America.
The more she talks, the more racist it becomes. The fact that she's saying people come
No, I
from
care about your
countries-
citizenship.
people come from
American
countries
nationalism,
in her
economic
mind that are
nationalism is
failed
about
states.
maximizing the value
People come
of
to
being
this
an
country
American
because they're
citizen.
looking
And
for
you know what?
democracy.
Obama
All right, don't
agrees
talk
with
over
me.
each other.
Because if you look at the studies that Obama put out about wages, it's
come to
black
this country
Americans who
because
are the
they're looking
most
for
negatively
democracy,
impacted by
because
Please
they're
illegal
don't talk
immigration
over
when it
each
comes
other
to
because I
wage
can't hear
suppression.
either of
Looking
you.
for opportunity.
At this point, the debate fundamentally changes direction.
Well, tell
If
her that-
you
tell
cared
her
about
that-
black
please
Americans,
stop
you would
talking
want to
over each
deport
other.
illegals.
I can't hear you.
Well,
You're both talking at the same time. The viewers
fine. So I would like to
cannot
talk to
hear
just-
either
I
of
was
you.
just
Let
accused
me
of being
ask
a
the mayor.
racist, so I'm defending
Please,
myself.
Natalie, let the mayor,
Right.
Mr. Mayor, explain
Thank you.
why you think Natalie's being racist.
Absolutely. I think that, first of all, everybody, the fact that you mentioned people are coming from so-called failed states, people come here looking for democracy because they don't have it, looking for economic freedom because they don't have it. They're looking for, they're running from situations sometimes that are deadly, right? And so they come to the United States for safety, for security, for democracy that we've advertised to the world. So that doesn't matter. There were people who fled other countries that were not all of these countries she's talking about now, years and years ago, who came here from Eastern Europe, from Western Europe, from all over the parts of the world. For her to identify Somalia, just like the President of the United States did, to me is racist. At the end of the day, there are immigrants who come to America from all over the world. They want to choose who gets to come here and who doesn't get to come here based on their nationality, based on the country they come from, based on the religion they practice, based on the language that they speak. And she clearly identified by calling it an ethnic enclave. This is ridiculous. To be able to create a country that is devoid of anybody else in the world except the people you choose, it is white supremacist to say that. It is racist to say that, and it needs to be pointed out. And they say it's culture war. The real culture war is the cleansing that these folks are doing, calling it immigration reform, when you're really just attacking black and brown people on the streets and shooting people in the face who understand and see that and are trying to defend the democracy that this country upholds itself to be.
What makes this exchange significant isn't simply the disagreement over immigration policy. It's the deeper conflict over how national identity is defined in the first place. One side attempts to link American identity to cultural assimilation, shared political beliefs, and alignment with specific institutions. The underlying logic suggests that belonging is not just a legal matter, but also a cultural and ideological one. But the opposing argument introduces a different principle entirely. It asserts that American identity is defined by constitutional structure, legal citizenship, and individual freedom, not by political loyalty or cultural conformity. This distinction is crucial because it separates subjective perception from objective legal reality. As the debate progresses, the language becomes more revealing. The discussion moves beyond enforcement and legality and begins focusing on entire regions, cultures, and populations. This shift changes the nature of the argument. It's no longer about specific actions or policies, it becomes about defining entire groups of people in relation to national belonging. The mayor's response reframes the issue using historical context. Immigration, he points out, has always been part of the American system. People arriving from unstable or dangerous regions are not an exception to the American story, they are a continuation of it. This reframing removes the emotional framing and places the issue back into structural reality. What this debate ultimately exposes is how definitions shape perception. When identity becomes subjective, it can expand or contract depending on who controls the definition. But when identity is grounded in law and constitutional structure, it becomes stable, predictable, and consistent. This is why debates like this matter. They don't just influence policy, they influence how people understand belonging itself. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown like this.